All right, this is a real test. So today we have John 1:1. And what this is about, it says, or what this says rather, is in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was God. So this means in the beginning was the Word, and I Googled what does the word mean. I wanted to figure out like what does other people think the word means, and they said the word is Jesus. And so I put both. I put Jesus and I put word because depending on how you interpret it or how you understand it, you may choose one or the other. When you say word, you mean like really words that you're speaking, the tongue or just written language or anything that you say. The word that you say, any the words that I'm saying right now. You know. So in the beginning was the word. So let there be light. God created through speaking. He spoke things into existence, right? Or so we think. So he spoke things into existence. But before you speak, you have to think. Before he's able to speak things into existence or manifest what he wants the world to be, he has to think about what it is. So in the beginning was the word, but before the word, there's a thought. So he had to think, even if it's Jesus and not the word, he had to think of Jesus to create Jesus. He had to speak Jesus into existence using his thought. He had to think of what Jesus would look like, how he would act, how he would behave, all that. So he had to speak Jesus into existence. And that's why they say we have power of the tongue, or we can speak and create through what we say. You can heal through what you say. So, and then also with words, you speak things into existence. You can speak life into people. You can speak death into people. You casting spells. You can cast. You know what I'm saying? You cast curses, all that. So through what you say. So God created us through him speaking. But before he speak, he had to think. So he created through speaking. Let there be light. He had to know what light was or have some type of idea of what light would be. He's not just speaking and just randomly creating something. He has to think of something. And we're thinking creatures. And God is a thinking creature, which is how he created all this, because he's a thinking entity. And we are that. We are the same. We think. That's our greatest power is our ability to think. So Rene Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. But he left a word off. I think, therefore I am God, because God is a thinking entity. Because without the thought that he had, how would he recreate? He wouldn't just speak. He had to think before he spoke. So he had to, that's how he created, through his speaking. So, and the word was God. The word itself was God. If it's Jesus, then Jesus was God, right? But God created Jesus, right? Even though they're the same thing. God created Jesus. He had to think of Jesus to create Jesus. So the word was God. So Jesus was God because God created Jesus. And he has the same power that God has for the most part, per se. As above, so below. If he can think and create us, we can think and create more. So, right? We can think and create more. That's what we do. We think and we bring those thoughts into the world. Everything you have, the phone, all that shit. Somebody thought about it, brought it into the world. So we think, therefore we are God, because God is a thinking entity, because he had to think to create us. And if you don't believe that it's Jesus and it's just the word, you gotta think the word was God. So that's even speak saying, that's tying back into that words have a certain power to them. And you can speak life into people, you can speak death into people, you can cast spells, cast curses, hexes, all that shit. So in the beginning, the word was God. So what you're speaking, after you have that thought and you get it out and you express the thought of your imagination, accessing higher planes, you are doing the act of God, because you're creating consciousness through making it tangible, making your thought tangible. When I speak right now, I'm making my thoughts tangible to you. Now you can understand what I'm thinking as I'm speaking, right? So that's an act of God, because I'm creating consciousness for you, and I am consciousness as God is. I am consciousness as Jesus is. Jesus is consciousness. So we're all the same thing. Everything is the same thing. We're all a part of the same thing, because we all were created by this. We were created by God, and God to speak us into existence using his thought, and we can do the same thing. So we are all the same thing. And the word was God. Exactly. The word was God. Jesus was God because God created Jesus to be God. God created Jesus to be to in his image, in his likeness, right? God created Jesus in his likeness to think and do what God can do at a lower level, because as above, so below. Once again, he's Jesus up there somewhere, we're down here somewhere in this plane, in this dimension, but he's in a different dimension, but we're doing the same thing, just on a smaller scale. He created a whole planet, a whole solar system, and all that, but we are creating things that are tinier, per se. A phone is a lot tinier than a fucking planet, right? So we're doing the same thing. And even through the word was God. Even if it's physical words, the word is still God, because through the words that we speak is how we create. And connection, human connection, is a point that I kind of forgot about. Through our connection, through our words, we connect with other people, and that is a point of, you have to manifest through what you say, and so the word was God. You have to think, the word was God. Manifest through what you say, and if we weren't able to speak, per se, we didn't have a language or a way to communicate, we wouldn't be able to manifest the way that we are, or that way that we do, because we have to work together to manifest things. I wouldn't be able to tell a guy, hey, I need you to build that and do this and that. He just wouldn't understand. He would just be like, okay, what you need me to do? But he wouldn't be talking. He would just be like, look at me, like, and I'm just nodding, and I'm just like, I wouldn't be able to talk. So through the words, we can create God or consciousness. We can speak life into people. Uh, a good example is when you go to church and your pastor talks to you. Maybe you feel some type of way. Maybe you feel moved. Maybe you feel holy. Maybe you feel some type of way. That's him speaking a certain frequency into you, because we are all frequency. We are all light. We are all comprised of the elements, as Jesus was as well, comprised of the elements. So, yeah, the word of God. What else I got? That's only 6 minutes. Damn. So let me say, let there be light. All right. So let there be light. You had to think. You had to think. Let there be light. You had to know. Have some type of idea of what light is, because he's the one creating it. He can't just say blue and the color blue pops up, right? You have to have some type of idea of what it is, because he's the one creating it. When the guy made the phone, that's a good example, because I'm looking at a phone. When the guy made the phone, he had to know what, he had to have some type of clue of what the phone was, right? He didn't say I want to make a phone, because he imagined it, right? He was using imagination. That's what I forgot. Another thing, he had to have some type of imagination or some type of idea or picture or image in his mind to create what he wanted to create. That's aspect, because if we do that, then that means he does it as well. If you refer to it as a he does it as well, because it's the same thing. We're the same thing. We're created from the same thing. So we do the same thing. It's on a smaller scale. So back to the thing about the phone. If the guy wanted to create a phone, whoever did it, I don't even know. Whoever did it, he had to have some image or some type of idea about what the phone does, or how the phone looks, or anything, right? He had to have some type of basis to go off of. They can just say, I want a phone, and then it just magically appears. But hey, maybe God can, but it shouldn't work like that. Or it doesn't work like that, because it doesn't work like that here. And he didn't say let there be a phone and a dinosaur popped up, right? So you gotta know what you're talking about, right? So you have to think about what you're talking about before you create what you're talking about. So yeah, so let there be light. We're all composed of light, and light is can be created through sound, through a process called sumoluminescence. Sumoluminescence. I don't know. Sumoluminescence. Sumoluminescence. I'm gonna get one of them right. I'm gonna edit that shit. But so sound, or the word. That's another part I forgot about. Through the word, you can create light, which is what we are. When he said, "Let there be light," he spoke that and created light through the sound waves or the frequency or the vibration of his words, because he has so much power that he can say, "Let there be light," and the word, literally the word, can change into light and create the light, right? His words went into light, right? So even when he created Jesus, Jesus is a manifestation of God, correct? If he is, then we are, right? Because how was he different from us? He was a human. Or in the story, he was a human, so he's no different from us, right? And you agree. So he had to manifest God, or Jesus, and Jesus was God. And through speaking, through let there be light, and he manifested Jesus as he manifested everything, right? As he manifested us, he manifested Jesus through, what I'm saying? So Jesus was the manifestation of God, as we all are, as everything is, because the act of God is through creation. When you create something, or when you manifest something, you're doing an act of God. Jesus was the act of God, right? God in the flesh, right? Which we all are. Yeah, y'all treat Jesus like he's so much different from y'all, but he is if you make him to be different than you. You're not supposed to, but you're idolizing him instead of seeing that, okay, he's the same thing as me. This is really my bro. This really big bro type shit. But y'all don't see it like that. You know what I'm saying? So we can do the same thing Jesus does. Jesus, the only what made Jesus different was he was not scared of shit. You know what I'm saying? He was doing his shit. You know what I'm saying? He was moving. You know, he wasn't domesticated or trapped in fear. He was doing what he wanted to do. How he thought. He reached self actualization. So he was doing what he wanted to. And I gotta write shit down because I be forgetting. I be having words and I just forget them type shit. So I need to write some shit down. So Jesus was a manifestation of God. He was God in the flesh through what God said. God had to think, which we are thinking beings. He had to think first, and then he had to say, "Let there be light," which is words that carry a certain frequency. That words can transform into light. Words can transform into light. So let there be light, and then we created everything, including Jesus. So in theory, Jesus is light. Therefore, we are light as well because we are composed of the same thing Jesus was created from, right? So we are light. We are light beings. We are created from light. Let there be light, right? That's what he's trying to get at. We are composed of light. Everything is composed of energy, or everything is energy in motion, or energy rather. Everything is energy. Light is energy. Your frequency when you speak. Right now, I'm speaking. That's energy. That's me exerting or manifesting energy, right? Energy is filling this space around me, right? Through some type of frequency that I'm on. So therefore we are light as well, right? Let there be light. Let there be everything's composed of light, right? That's what it is. Everything's composed of light. And through that, everything is composed of some type of frequency, or some type of waves. So he had to think before he spoke. The thought before the speaking, right? And for one to speak, if he must first think, right? So for God to create through word, he must first create through thought to get the word. So we have to be thought of, right? To create as we do. We think and we create. It's the same thing. So the process of speaking in his own is an act of God. So and even like the Holy Trinity, right? So the Holy Trinity. You have the Father or God the Father, you have God the Holy Spirit, and you have the Son, or Jesus rather, as the Son, right? So you have the God the Father, right? Which is the active principle or the masculine force that can create, right? So which we have this quality about us as well. We are able to create other things, correct? So we have the same quality to create as well as God the Father. And you have the Holy Spirit, which we all have a spirit, right? We have a piece of this as well. We have all the pieces of the puzzle, is what I'm saying. We have the Holy Spirit, or this could be considered Mother Nature, or the thought of the imagination, or the feminine. This is more of the feminine side, because this is masculine, this is feminine. And then through the masculine and the feminine of mixing the energy, right, you create the byproduct, or the son, or what Jesus was. When you make kids, you have to mix the masculine and the feminine to make kids, correct? So, or when you pretty much do anything, you have to think and then create it, which is thinking is more of a feminine force or action, and or imagination, and like how women are more so intuition based and more so emotional, and right, so it's more of a feminine thing, and it's more of a masculine thing, but you have to have both, and you create the son, or which is we are the son as well, because we're no different than Jesus, right? Where God manifests as well, right? It's the same thing. You're created from the same thing, using the same principles, using the same everything. It's all the same. So we are the son. So if Jesus is the son, then we are the son because we're the same thing, right? So we are the byproduct of creation. So we are God as well, as Jesus was God. If you can accept that Jesus was God, you can accept that you are God as well, because you are the same thing. So you are God. We are God. We are consciousness. We are a byproduct of the Father and the Holy Spirit, because we have the Holy Spirit right inside of us, right? And we are able to create the same way God the Father creates, right? So through the seed, right? Through sperm, or right? If you want to create a kid, you got to, right? So, and you get a son, but not a physical son, but you get a byproduct of the creation process, which is the son. Anytime you mix the forces and you create, you're doing the Holy Trinity. Basically, if I think of something and I make it and I show you it right now, then I've completed the Holy Trinity. I've done it. I have thought about it. I have manifested it, or actively brought it into consciousness. And that is the act of God. This is all the act of God. And The product itself would be the Son. That would be it manifested. You can see it is doing things. It's working. It is what I thought. I thought it into existence. Literally, I thought it. I did the action. I brought it to show you. Right. So if you throw the Holy Trinity, you think it. You have to do it. Right. So